Hello and welcome to the Two-Man Power Trip of Wrestling. My host, JP John Poz. With me today, a very special guest. You may know him as Sgt Buddy Lee Parker, the trainer of the famous WCW Power Plant, Mr. Dewayne Bruce. Dewayne, welcome in. How you doing?
Hello, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Very, very good. Thank you for joining me. What's going on in your world? Anything wrestling related going on?
Well, I've been doing a lot of podcasts, but I go to some wrestling conventions and different stuff, and I hold not tryouts like at the power plant, but I hold for people who are still in the business, trying to make their company get better. So I work with the guys before the matches and talk to them after their match and tell them what I thought and stuff like that.
So still valued opinion, obviously. I mean, you know a lot, obviously, about the business from your time.
Well, I would think after as many people as I trained,
Yeah.
that's a lot of them.
How many do you think you trained, like, over the years?
One guy said 1,000. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I mean, I trained Elegante and Kevin Nash at the first power plant where I trained at. That was in Lovejoy, Georgia. Then we moved to Jonesboro, Georgia. And that's where I trained Dallas Page and a few others. Then we moved to Log Cabin. Not Log Cabin. The third one and then the fourth one was at Log Cabin where the main office was.
How does that even happen, though? How do you become a wrestler and then become a trainer? Like, how do you make that jump?
Well, I just can get a lot more out of people than some people. You know, I know how to push their buttons as far as make them mad, make them whatever to get the most out of them, you know. I'm sorry, I'm getting comfortable. So, yeah, I did many jobs. I built rings. I set up rings. I rang the bell. I trained people. I wrestled. I made video games with 3 video games with EA Sports in Vancouver, Canada. I went over when Hogan and Flair was doing their deal, test the rings out, tell them what they need and what we're going to do and this, that, and the other. So I did many jobs. I didn't just do one. I did many jobs.
I love
And
it. That means that they trust you.
thanks for the Assassin and Nick Patrick for that.
It means they really trust you, though. I mean, that's not everybody could do stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I've always had a background in construction and all that stuff. My dad was a custom home builder when I was growing up, so you know where I was on Saturdays and Sundays after football practice and wrestling practice and all that. You know where I was working. So, yeah.
Nice. Love that. When you get into the business, right, even before, like, how do you break in? Because at that point, they were kind of training guys to almost break them, right? I mean, you weren't necessarily training them to take their money and have them be a student. At that point, they really wanted to see if you loved the business and could do it.
Well, yeah, I did the same stuff when I trained down at Jody's school. You know, I did some of the same stuff, but I added some to it, you know, as I went along. But I wasn't given the trainer position. I just took it. And ran with it, you know, and obviously with the amount of people I put out, that it was very successful. And yes, we probably, we wanted to push people, see if they really love the business or they're willing to give up some stuff to make their business in the business work. Because, people don't realize wrestlers make a bunch of sacrifices. You know, a bunch of if their kids are at home and they miss some football practice or whatever, we miss a lot of things traveling on the road.
Oh,
I had to
God,
fight.
yeah.
I had to fight WCW to get off for my kids being born. So, but I wasn't
Wow.
gonna miss that.
Crazy, the wrestling business. When you
Yeah.
broke in, who was your trainer? Like, who broke you in?
Nick Patrick, and he just came.
Wow.
Yeah, he just came for was that not USC, but what was the one that ran down in Louisiana with Bill Watts?
Mid-South or
Mid
deep
South. He
or
blew
deep
his
South?
knee
Yeah.
out down there, and he drove back. And believe it or not, I worked with him one-legged for many times. But I trained for about 3 months, and I had my first match. Went through 20-minute Broadway. I was very fortunate. So Ole
Wow.
Anderson is the one that recommended to go to Jody's school. I used to go hang out at when they did the little studio show down at Georgia, and I had a guy that I knew through a job I was working that he rang the bell, knew some stuff, how to approach somebody. You know, you don't want to say, I want to be a professional wrestler. I want to train to be a professional wrestler. And Ole, I don't know, he respected that, I guess. I expected the phone ring down at the Shell gas station down there, you know, somewhere. And I called, that was on Sunday night when they had an Omni show. And I was fortunate enough to get to wrestle on Omni. But I called it on Monday morning, and the secretary got on. We were expecting your call. And I was like, my call? Who the hell am I? But he said either go to Jody Hamilton School in Lovejoy, which I lived in Jonesboro then. So naturally, I went there, and I watched Jody all my life, you know. So, yeah. And like I said, I trained 3 months, had my first match on TV with him. Went 20 minutes through, and yeah, got to go to Japan, tours over in Japan and stuff. Stan Hansen got me and Dale over there. You know, Stan don't get nobody nowhere unless you can tote the mail. So, very fortunate.
When you're like breaking in, were you a huge fan before that? Like, were you very aware of wrestling? Like, did you, like you said, you went to the shows?
Yeah, actually, my grandfather got me watching it, and
Wow.
They used to run an afternoon show in Griffin, Georgia, and then run the Omni at night. And I got going down there, and then next thing you know, I got an opportunity. So, yeah.
Wow. So it's one of those things where, not that somebody can watch it and learn, but it's better off being a fan, so you kind of know what you're doing, right? I mean, you kind of get a better idea.
Like I say, you got to know how to talk to somebody in the wrestling business. You can't be like a normal fan or whatever, you know, because they're going to blow you off and all that stuff. So, and I looked good at the time. I was pretty heavy, so it was good.
When do you get your first like inkling that, okay, I'm good at this, I could do this? Like, how long does that take? Because I remember I was talking to Shane Douglas. He's like, it took me 7 years. And I was like, wow, you were actually, you know, you were good way before that. But he was saying it took him 7 years. How long did it take you before you felt comfortable?
Well, I went to the NWA from Jody's place. I went to the NWA and was wrestling for NWA. You know, you have to earn the respect of your guys. You know, I went out there as Dewayne Bruce. Nobody knew me. You know, I didn't get in the rub or none of that stuff. So I had to earn the respect from the guys. And eventually, like in my later days, I was calling the matches for the main event guys, you know, where I'm wrestling. So, yeah, it developed in a great deal. And like I say, that everybody doesn't see me doing everything there is to do. I did a podcast. They call me the man of 1,001 jobs. And that was kind of true, you know. So, but you know, you earn money on everything you do, you know. So I mean, when I went to Japan, I was getting paid by WCW and Japan. When I did the video games, I was getting paid by WCW and the video game company because I did all the mocap work. Did it with people out of school, believe it or not. For that time, they wouldn't send me big name people, but finally, at the end, they did. They sent me Bill and Bam Bam Bigelow and Conan, but Conan I could do them without. But anyway, it turned out really good. I got a bunch of magazines and a bunch of stuff, newspaper clippings, back when I was just wrestling for Jody. So, yeah.
So not a fan of Conan. Why not a fan of him?
I just don't. I'm not a fan of his work. You know, I've had to wrestle Mexican guys on a house show or something where he wasn't going to make it. They called the office, said they'd rather work me. So I don't know. It's just, you know, and then, you know, we was doing a launching of the video game, and I was trying to talk to him, tell him what we're doing and kind of stuff, and he kind of blew me off, and then he did a couple things. I eventually just had to take control of it. So, yep.
So is that one of those cases, some guys in the business you just don't jive with? You
just don't jive with. Yeah. I mean, I was in the Dungeon of Doom with him, you know. with Kevin Sullivan and all them. Very short-lived deal, but I've had a couple short-lived. Jack Boot, that was short-lived. The State Patrol was the best gimmick, I thought. And what fans don't see and stuff is when you're on the road, and you put out there 3 weeks wrestling the Steiners every night, and usually the nightsticks behind the referee back to get our heat and all that stuff. And we had great matches, great matches, So, yeah, I've learned a lot. I was always the guy that drove, and listened and learned and keep my mouth shut and all that. That's the best way to learn, man. Listen to all the veterans in the car, But a lot of these indie guys now think it's all about them, and it's not. It's about the match. It ain't about a certain person or anything. You get the match over, you get over. So yeah, that's the biggest thing I see in indies now. That's the biggest thing I see.
What is it though? Like they're just trying to get themselves over, and they're not following what they should be doing. What is it? You think
you're taking bumps for no reason. You only got a certain amount of bumps in your body. And that's why I'm broken down now. All the Hindu squats, I used to do all that with the guys, at the power plant and all that. And, crazy jumping off the top rope stuff because Dale couldn't fly. So I had to fly. So, yeah, a lot of crazy stuff.
When you look at State Patrol, who comes up with that gimmick? How does that even come about? James Earl Ray and Sgt Buddy Lee Parker. How does that come about?
Okay. Well, Stu Hart, in Calgary. He wanted to bring us up, but he wanted a Southern redneck team, So my mom was, in the police and all that. So we got in touch with another guy that was with State Patrol. We went and bought the tops, badges. Everything was real. I've been pulled over. I'm going, what the hell is that? But anyway, so we went. We drove. They were going to send us plane tickets, but we done heard about the trips they didn't make up there then. And we didn't want to be riding in vans with all that shit going on. So we drove from Atlanta, Georgia. My partner lived in Albany, Georgia. He drove to me. We parked his car, drove my car all the way to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And then we got stopped at the when we were trying to get through the deal. They didn't have a business license at the checkpoint in Canada, and we had to wait 3 hours. I said, Dale, this ain't a good sign. So we went in and we wrestled one guys and stuff, and then they put the belts on us right away. And after we got done, we talked to Stu because Bruce Hart got his jaw broken by Davy Boy on the road. So we talked to Stu, and he goes, well, it's not necessarily what you make, it's what you save. And we done seen the place they were going to have us stay in and all that. And we was like, no. Here's the belts. We'll meet you in Edmonton. And we drove back we called them back when we was in the United States again. So, and stuff. But Davy Boy never let me live that down.
So you like that gimmick, though? You love the State Patrol. It's like a cool gimmick.
Yeah, I loved it. And, they could have used it, could have pushed it, Let's do the same things we were doing on the road, and on TV, cheat behind the referee's back. That's where people they do most of their moves now when the referee's looking at them, and I don't know if you watch AEW. I watch some people. I honestly do. I tape it, DVR it. I don't watch it, sit around and watch TV and just watch that. And I don't watch much of WWE. And I tell you what, if everybody's lasts as long as mine did, 22 years in the business, I hope that does for them. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure they'll make it that far. Incredible stuff they're pulling off. Incredible moves, But if you do your first 5 minutes, you do 10 high flying moves, and then you cover them and you kick out, and what you got to do, cut the head off with a chainsaw and cover them. They may kick out again, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. I
So
still
you're
can
not
help.
not a big fan of today's style, if you will. Like you're not just not a fan of
I think
AEW.
eventually it will come back around. It usually does. It can't go all the way 80s and 90s again. It just can't. It's going to be somewhere in between. But grabbing a hole and working a hole and telling a story, when you're in the ring,
Yep.
I'm a heel. I cheat. The babyface is faster than me, quicker than me. Gives me a reason to what? Cheat behind the referee's back. So that's that. And believe it or not, Japan was a very moving thing, but they respected everything you did. That's what made it so great. So, yeah.
When you look at it, right, with current wrestling, why do you think that they kind of went that direction? You know what I mean? So many false finishes, so many high spots. Like, how come
Well,
the psychology changed so much?
yeah, it does. And Omega's awesome, and them other guys are great too. But I don't know. I think the wrestling business has just got way far from psychology. It's more just moves and stuff done now. And we used to call it in the ring, believe it or not. We, I love wrestling Finley and Dave Taylor and all them guys because the only thing we got was our finish. We called the rest in the ring, given on TV. So it's a lost art. It is a lost art. But you see the
But
guys
you
at
are a fan of
AEW and different ones that do grab a hold and work the hold, have them fight from underneath, have them fight just about make it, heel them back down. Then they fight again. If they're standing at the end of the match, everybody's on their feet cheering. You did your job correctly.
Yep. So you are a fan of Omega, though. You do like Kenny Omega.
Well, I like Omega. I like a lot of the guys. I just said he's had a lot of injuries already. So I'm just worried how long he's going to last in the business. I know too many people got their necks fuses together, and Paul Orndorff was one.
Yep.
Chris Benoit was another. Dean Malenko was another. So I was actually wanting to work with Chris Benoit when he's making his return. And I was like, brother, you got enough money, but whatever, it happens. And
Yep.
I hate what happened if that's what happened. But Chris was an interesting person, man. In a tag team match, there's 5 involved. There's 5 people involved, the referee and the 4 opponents. So it could not even be his fault. But he did Hindu squats. He was trained in Japan in the dojo. So, yeah. And when I went over there, I did squats with the guys and all that stuff too. So I think I said, damn, Dale didn't do that. But, I said, damn, Sarge is still working out with the guys, So anyway, that's neither here or there.
Right. Crazy the Benoit stuff. Oof. It's absolutely.
Yeah, I try to not talk about it, but I don't want to talk about what he did or anything like that. I just want to talk about his performance in the ring.
Yes. Hell of a worker. I mean, I know people can say whatever they want. Arguably one of the best, if not the best in ring. I mean, he was unbelievable.
Exactly. I mean, he was my size, I was actually 248 at one time with 6% body fat. But that's hard work, man. I mean, people don't get realize when you're on the road, you got to find the gyms, you got to eat good, and it costs money to eat good on the road, and this stuff. But I got T-shirts from every gym I've probably been to. So, yeah.
And the life of a wrestler, just absolutely crazy. When you're looking back, though, like we were talking about State Patrol and obviously, how great they were and everything. But you guys lost a lot. You know what I mean? Like, what did you think about that? Because it's like you're playing your role, you're playing your part. But if somebody's like, "Oh, you lost a lot," but isn't it beneficial because you're on TV so much? You're making money.
You're still out there in front of the TV, So I mean, yeah, we lost a lot. I'm not going to deny that, whatsoever. That was part of my job. I mean, not everybody can be on top. There's only a few guys on top. The rest are fighting from underneath. And I've seen people get injured and not make it back from the ring from TV, and people are already fighting for the spot. So
Yep.
can be a very cutthroat business sometimes. But yeah, like I said, I trained Kevin Nash, the Giant. I've worked with Triple H and Steve Regal in the ring. Uh, Dallas Page, Wrath, or Chronic, what he was called here, Brian Clark. There's so many. There's a list. Somebody's got to compile somewhere, but there's a list of a lot of major guys that made top money. And then Bill Kazmaier, I trained with him when they were trying to bring him in. And then, a lot of football players, Stephen Michael, I trained him. And a lot of people don't even realize, so yeah. It takes, sometimes you have to do 1,001 jobs. It just, it is what it is. You accept it and make money at every job you do, then you make damn good money, so.
What do you think about some of those guys that didn't really love the business and they're training to be business? Did you train them any differently? Because, you could tell when a guy like Kazmaier, he's just there because he thinks he can make money off, but he's not a lover of the business.
Right.
What do you think about those guys? Do you train them any differently?
Yes, I still train them. I try to do what's best for them in their career, and I gave a lot of people finishes like Dallas Page, Bill Goldberg. I come up to Jackhammer, all them guys, but you got to look at it as a business too. You can't look at it as just get me over or I'm gonna run them off or what. I ran a lot of guys off, but the ones that stayed was the ones that made it. Like Kiwi and Mike Sanders and. Guys were like in the middle, and some guys that didn't make it out of the, that didn't make it, just had a few matches on TV and that was it. Cause, but they had to fight from underneath, and you just got to learn the business and learn what you're doing and be great at what you're doing. So, yeah.
Who are some of the guys you didn't particularly like training? Like, was Dave Bautista one of those guys? Cause I know he quit the power plant at one point.
Yeah, he quit. And I mean, throw up and take his shirt off, wipe it up, and put it back on. But I did people like that all the time. It wasn't just because of Dave, was a big muscle head. But we didn't have a training ground for them people. I tried really hard, but we didn't have a training guy like Ohio Valley, which Vince was very smart and did. That way you can send them down there and they could be married to somebody and learn. But look at him now. I mean, he's a mega movie star now, so he can say what he wants. He can send me a check if he wants to. I'll take that.
Right.
I made Vince a lot of money and made WCW a lot of money. So,
yeah. But was he one of those guys that was like, was it the train too hard for him? Like, what was the issue?
Yeah, and he was working a bouncer job, making like $100 a night, and he had a lot of stuff coming up when he was young and growing up that we all go through. We all have to deal with some adversity and stuff. So, yeah, he thought his size, he should get pushed right then and right there, and that just wasn't going to happen at WCW, but I think I did him the best favor I ever done, but now looking at it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, he could make it WCW, but when he goes to OVW, obviously a whole different ball of wax. Yeah. He obviously was hot pushed in WWE. He was great, and obviously now he's a movie star. But yeah, one of those things where I guess WCW he couldn't handle the heat there.
And they said to go the Undertaker. He was at WCW. Ming Mark Callis said he couldn't talk. WCW said he couldn't talk and he couldn't do this. That's why Vince gave him a mouthpiece, Pringle, to do his voiceovers, and the thing too, he learned how to do an interview by himself, So they gave him the traits to keep working and keep learning and to get and develop their traits, It's a lot of work, man. I mean, it's a lot of. I mean, you're going to school 5 days a week, and you're wrestling on Friday and Saturday or Sunday, and come back Monday do the same stuff. So it is very grueling. I've had a bunch of people in the military said that they would never come back to my camp. They'd rather go through a military camp than go through my camp.
Yeah. So the way you train guys, how would you describe it? Like coming through the power plant, like, how would you say you train guys? Like, what is it? Like, what style, if you will?
Well, some people said I was stiff, but actually, Arn Anderson said it the best. I wasn't stiff, but I was tight, and make it look believable when you do something. You don't have to hit a guy 8 times in the face. I told Bill that. I hit him one time, let him go down. Shit. You don't have to hit him 8 times, But I tried to teach him some psychology and stuff because Jody was the best in psychology, He the best masked man ever. Could talk. God, he could talk, and you look at his eyes and believe what he's saying. So, yeah, and I got a lot of credit for Nick. I learned a lot from Nick. So he'd already been in some territories and different stuff, and I got him in Puerto Rico and the last of the territories. So we drove up there and had 2 matches and drove back from Calgary to Atlanta in a week. So.
Wow.
We took it to State Patrol to WCW, and there you go.
What's a typical day training with you at the power plant? Like, how does that go for the wrestlers?
Well, we stretch really good, and then we start with 500 Hindu squats. I've been challenged before, and we did, 1,800 and something squats before I dropped everybody. Whoa. And we started with that. We started agility, running the ropes, teaching them, basic stuff to see if they were going to hang in there if they're not, because you don't know at the beginning whether they're going to hang in, and you give them too much information, you're trying to protect the business, then it just get, dirt sheets or the computer was the end of great wrestling. But anyway, I'm not saying it's not great now. I mean, they're obviously drawing the ratings and all that stuff, so. Yeah, but I learned about TV and everything. So one time at WCW, I was at the gorilla position, sending people out, and then go out and wrestle, and then come back to the gorilla position and tear the ring down after the TV was over and drive it to a pay-per-view, But I was making money from every walk of life that I did. So it was great. But I work for my money, and I know a lot of people have, I'm not taking nothing away from nobody. Everybody has to endure difficulties and get, you have to get stretched to your end till you really find out what you're about, And that's kind of what the power plant was about, to stretch them to the end, just to the edge of breaking, and they don't give up. That's the ones that really made a difference, And I trained Al Green, a bunch of football players, but what were Rodman in Dallas down at the power plant, and stuff. But they warned him about me, so. But Rodman was an extraordinary person anyway. He already had a 6-pack or 8-pack, and he was in shape when he come to me, so. Didn't have to worry about the squats and stuff.
Was he respectful and stuff and easy to
he
work
was
with?
Really respectful. And he followed wrestling, he liked wrestling. So, he was really respectful and was very open book, and, we wanted to learn. Bill was like that. I told Bill, bring your camcorder down every day and tape what we're doing. Take it home and study it. See what you like, what you don't like, what looks good for you, and what don't look good for you. And fortunately, Bill had that MMA background, so, he had a lot to bring to the table. Obviously his fire and everything was what got him over. His first match wasn't with Bill DeMont on TV, like they said. I had probably, 15 matches or more for that with him in dark matches all over the place. And stuff. So, yeah.
Is he like your most prized student, if you will, like your most famous student?
Probably the one that made the most money. I would think,
Yeah.
I don't hear much from him. I hear from Dallas. And Brian Clark, I hear from him. We talk about twice a week. So
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, yeah. Braun's a real respectful guy. He went through a lot of trial and tribulations. He had
Oh
to
yeah.
walk other people out.
Yep.
The power plant had all the guys walking Bill out and all that stuff. He had to do all that too. So, yeah, it's about getting
How could,
people payday. And a couple of times I've wrestled in Staples Center with Dallas and Bret Hart. Didn't want to do anything, neither one of them. So I had to be the bouncing ball. But I took my certain amount of them students with me to be security on the outside of the ring, just to give them a taste of what they can see and do. To keep them hungry, keep them going, keep them motivated. So yeah.
why do you not hear from Goldberg? What's no relationship really with him anymore?
Oh well, yes, there is. I didn't say I don't hear from him. I don't
Okay.
hear from him every week or nothing like that. I'm sure he's busy with his life, but yeah, he could give me one of them old cars. I would have appreciated that.
But he's not one of those guys that complain that you were too tough, though. Some guys complain that
No,
you might have been too tough. He never complained, huh?
no, never complained. No, and he did a certain amount of squats. He didn't do 500 every day. I'll tell you that, but he did a certain amount. And he was determined I wasn't going to break him. So I could see that in his eyes and how he respected the business and treated the business. You could see that after you spent a couple of days in the trenches with somebody, going through something like that. You actually learn what their heart's about, what their dedication's about,
Yep.
and different stuff. At a certain amount of time, you just know they're going to make it. So
With him, too, at the end of WCW, you guys had that interesting run where they actually bring you back on TV. You're Dewayne Bruce. You're not Sgt Buddy Lee Parker. You're Dewayne Bruce, Goldberg's trainer. What did you think about that? Because you're teaming with him. You're with,
well,
they're using that as a storyline.
yeah, and you know what? I didn't get told much during that time. Actually, pay-per-view, I was supposed to beat Bill. I was supposed to turn on Bill. But that day, I had set up the ring. I had been to the gym, worked out, had a migraine headache, just killing me. And he said, "You're going to beat me tonight." I was like, "Damn, I don't want to beat you, Bill, but that would have been a great feather in my cap, But
Yeah.
I mistakenly told him that, and it didn't happen, Next thing I know, I'm headed back home. So that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that was crazy because obviously the whole storyline is he might lose his career, even if he loses in a tag match, even if you lose. So they team you guys up together, like you beat Chronic, like you're beating these teams. But then it's crazy. Sin comes around. You think that you and Goldberg will get the win. They do that thing with the fan, and he gets distracted, and
Well,
he
that's
actually
what.
loses to Tony Buff.
Yeah. Well, I was supposed to turn on Bill that night, but I didn't know it. No office hadn't come talk to me. I gotta say, nobody. I had to live in everything I did, and which is hard to believe with Buff and Lex, but yeah. But Lex always told me when he kicked me. But anyway, good for him. I saw he got on his feet, got inducted to
Yeah.
the WWE Hall of Fame. I did interview with Kevin Kelly and some other guy the other night, and he goes, "Do you want to be in the WWE Hall of Fame?" And I was like, "Well, I'm already in the Power Plant Hall of Fame. I got a ring and all that stuff for it." But yeah, I guess I would. I don't know. Is that call ever going to come? I don't think so. But the best thing Vince ever did was have a developmental program. That was very
Very
smart.
smart. Yeah.
Very smart.
Kind of in the vein of in the idea of the power plant, though, if you really think about it, kind of copying a
Yeah.
lot of stuff from the power plant.
Well, I think the first idea was to have me come up and train some people and stuff. But, I'm not going to move my family across country and take a chance, because if Vince wants to tie you up, he'll just tie you up till you go
Yeah.
broke. Till you go
Yep.
broke, man, trying to
Yep.
sue him, whatever. I wasn't going to put my family through that, man. So I chose what I did. So, and I've always, had an engineering background and a mechanical background and wiring and, operating buildings on computers and all that kind of background. So I did all that for Show Construction. And then I had my own company for a while. But I couldn't get all these independents to realize they don't have a territory. If I'm furnishing ring, rails, barricades, the entrance, fog, lasers, all that stuff, and you book me on a town, you get a percentage of the gate and get paid to work on that show. But everybody wanted to say, this is my territory. You ain't got no damn territory. What are you talking about? Too many of them independents want to fight against each other. That's what's wrong with some of the business now, you know?
Yep.
And they're watching what they see on TV, so they think that's the deal. You know, and I'm not knocking AEW or WWE for what they're doing. They're obviously drawing big money. But, you know, there's a better way, I think, you know, and save a person's body. You know, I'm telling you, I'm 62 now. My knees are gone. My back is gone. I can't work out no more. It's horrifying. I just went through laser surgery. Cataracts removed and still fighting my back and my knees and stuff to keep my job I got now. But I work for D.R. Horton. They're the biggest residential builder in the United States. And I feel lucky to be there, you know. And I get to do what I like to do, you know. I don't physically do all the work, you know. I did want to first in because that was on the downturn of the housing market, you know. So the vendors wasn't very good, but they're really good now and stuff. And I like to see the stock market come up, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Taking a bath on that.
Who designed the WCW Power Plant? Was that like the actual physical?
Jody Hamilton designed the name of it. Yeah. And then at the end, they gave it to Paul, which I got along with Paul, but, he was one. Why come you ain't making them do more squats? Why come you ain't doing this? I said, Paul, they're getting paid. Get them in their pocketbook. If you're going to punish them, don't punish everybody because somebody shows up late. Punish that guy. You take dollars away from him, he's going to make sure he gets there. So me and him did have a beef about that, but I love Paul to death, you know. I saw a lot of me and Paul too, you know. I had great people around me and great training. That's why I'm real fortunate to, you know, nobody says get anything good about Ole Anderson. He's great to me, you know. And he sent me to the right place, and I got, you know, like I said, I trained 3 months. I had the first match on TV. So, you know, I kept training, you know, that's to stop training. I was working a normal job during the day and training at night and wrestling on 3 days on the weekends and doing it all, hanging sheetrock, you know, doing commercial construction and all that. Yeah. But, you know, I kept my food up. Protein bars, protein drinks. I mean, it takes a really lot of money if you're going to live in that kind of style and train and be proactive for yourself, you know. And, you know, the biggest thing when somebody gets blowed up, this is about the business, okay? When somebody gets blowed up, you know what the first thing goes? Their legs and their back. That's the first thing that goes, man. And that's why I told all at the power plant, I'm doing these for you. Because if you blow your person up, you can get in what you want, you know. I told Elliot Skipper and all them guys like that, you know, and they had a little run, you know. I don't think it's what they wanted, but, you know, what did we all get? You know, what do we get what we wanted, or do we make the best of it? And sometimes it's making the best of it. I made everybody tear down the rings, load them up on trucks, learn every aspect of the business, because then you respect the ring guys. You respect your staff, the camera guys, the load-in guys. You got to work with all them guys. So if you earn all their respect, well, excuse me, I got the hiccups. You're not all their respect, you know, you have to have self-respect for yourself.
Who else was in the power plant with you, though? I know, obviously, Orndorff, but Pistol Pez, like who's like the running list trainer?
Was there. Pistol did more of the interview type stuff. Mike Winter was there. I don't know. He did paperwork and stuff. I did most of the training. they did the squats what they could and what they didn't want to see on TV. I'm not down in either one of them, but the truth to be known, I was the one that did all the squats with everybody at every tryout. That trip I told you flew to Germany and England because Ric Flair and Hogan was sold out every night. I flew right back in and went straight to the power plant and had TV at the power plant taping. I told the guys, man, you get my way, get the hell out of here. You don't get my way, tape what you want. And we had plenty. We had some fights and different things down there. I'm not going to say we didn't. Because you get in a high sport and high activity sport, you're gonna rub somebody wrong sometime way.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Not everything's going to be perfect. Sunshine and rainbows. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I made the best of everything I could do. I wish they'd let me develop that second territory. I said, give me Brad Armstrong, give me Tim Horner, give me a couple Hills, and let me go out and run shows with these guys in the school. And that's why I got them at different locations. About every pay-per-view thing we filmed at the power plant. I don't know if you know that. The cage matches and all that. We had that at the power plant. So me and the students filmed all that stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, well, he's like filming student shows at the house or whatever happened to all the footage?
Well, we were filming the pay-per-view pre-show things where they air every time they air it, they're trying to get the pay-per-view fights up. Yep. We filmed a lot of that stuff at the power plant. I worked with Jeff Jarrett. I've worked with everybody in the business one time or another. Cactus. I was always the man they called to fill in for somebody, that couldn't make it, like a Conan or whoever, and they called me one time, says, gotta grab your bag, and I had it already packed. Take your bag everywhere you go, man. Everywhere you go, you never know. So they flew me into a town. I had to get a van, and I got dressed in my state patrol outfit and the van. I got to the arena, threw my bag against the wall, and went out and wrestled Cactus Jack. They talked, didn't do nothing. It was great. And, that's what I'm talking about, man. When you could do something like that, not even see the guy and go out and have a great match, then you're really earning your stripes, You're earning your way in the business, If you ever get a chance, look at that, what is it, Untold Story of Professional Wrestling, the A&E thing. There's Channel 2 News. There's all kinds of things. I've been on Good Morning America, Life Magazine, a lot of stuff, people don't even realize, because they didn't advertise it like they should have,
Yeah.
But, that would have been great things to pull for the power plant, But anyway, it had to change hands, and one didn't want what was aired to another guy, didn't want him involved. So, I fought through it all, I can't fight Eric Bischoff, and, but I survived all the bookers when I went committee to Flair to Kevin Sullivan was the greatest, man. He came up with the Leprechaun gimmick. He tried to get me, a couple things, and, he tried his best, Who would know a stupid Leprechaun movie would put a cease and desist letter to WCW about that? Who would have ever thought, But it happened, and I persevered and kept going, man. I didn't give up. I can't give up. If I can't lead at the power plant if I give up. I don't have respect to the guys. I gotta have respect. And at the same time, I had the Giant. I had Kevin Reese. God, he's another 7'2" guy, and Bill, and other three rings going all at the same time. I jumped from ring to ring to ring all day long.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Braun the Leprechaun got squashed from the movie theater. That's why it got squashed.
Yeah, that's why it got squashed. Yeah, and Jack Boot, the militia thing happened out in Texas, Waco, and that killed that. So I've had a run of bad luck in there as well. But I kept going and kept moving and kept going forward. You got to have that determination and that fortitude to deep down in yourself to dig out something you didn't think you had, and fucking do it at an excellent pace, with the respect and everything. Because every time I went to the ring, I don't care. I took time to lace my boots up and get dressed. I'm gonna give it everything I got, and that's what I try to instill to everybody at the power plant. No matter what you got to do, no matter how you got to do it or what, you always give it respect and give it its due. Because everything you do in this business, I don't know if anybody would, from back then, would have a 22-year career. I even wrestled after that, people had handicaps and people had cancer. And I did benefit shows, with Shelby Construction and D.O. Horton. So, with them sponsoring the food and all kinds of stuff, So, and all the proceeds went to that person, So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of Braun the Leprechaun, though, did you like doing the gimmick? Did you like Dungeon of Doom, or did you think that was a little hokey for the 1990s?
Well, I know Kevin sent it to me, and I know Kevin for a very long time, and it's really Hart was involved in it too. The manager,
Jimmy Hart. Yep.
Jimmy Hart was involved in it too. So I was really nervous, especially you got to run out at Sturgis Bike Week in a fucking leprechaun suit. Excuse my language.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I was very nervous, but when I come out and started beating the crap out of somebody, they cheered. So, I have had to experience a lot of things that people have been too nervous to do, I think. But, I respect the business enough to do what I had to do. And keep it going, feed my family, and, me keeping my education up, and all that stuff, because you got to have a plan B. Jody always taught me, have a plan B. Do every job you can and make money at all of it. And then, at one point you got to have a plan B. And that's what I had, is a plan B.
So what did you think about the end of WCW, though, when Vince buys it? Was that shocking?
Well,
what did you think?
It was shocking, because this is what happened. So everybody going to meet at the power plant, right? Everybody. Turner. They had armed guards and everything down there. The TBS person's supposed to be there. HR person's supposed to be there, tell us what we're doing and where we're moving to. Because originally we were supposed to move to Vegas. And training center there. Flights were easier to get. Everything that way. And they come in. Man said, today boxes will be provided for you. You can't take anything out of the school or anything. And today's it. I went, holy shit. I had stuff signed by Andre the Giant when I was on tour with him in Japan, and Stan Hansen, Terry Gordy, Dr. Jeff, Steve Williams, people I looked up to and wanted to be like, and stuff. Now you get to take none of it with me. That's really what upset me, I guess. I mean, it upset me that I don't have a paycheck, but
right.
I wasn't the ones that sued TBS and got whatever, I told them, hell, I need to sue them for just what I did, so. But anyway, I was joking then, so. Anyway.
Did you?
A little bit of fishing, a little bit, serious, not serious, type deal.
Did you think that maybe XWF was going to be like the next WCW?
I went to XWF. Went to XWF.
Exactly. Yep.
I wrestled with Jimmy Hart and all them down there. I thought it was going to be great because we had the who's who, that wasn't in WWE,
yep.
And stuff. And this is what happened. They wanted Hulk Hogan to sign a 10-year deal down at Disney. It might have been at Universal then. I don't know. I can't remember. And, I've seen him have the best match I ever seen him have with Kurt Hennig down there. Kurt pushed him like nobody's business. Got more out of him than I've seen in a long time. And then Vince come in and offered Hogan and Mr. Perfect a contract, used them one time, and then didn't use them again, just to kill the XWF because he didn't want no competition. Right. So with competition, it draws ratings, man. You can't have just one territory and think I'm just going to be it, because at one time there was a whole lot of territories,
Yep.
and you were lucky to make it to the damn TBS station. You were lucky to make it to WWF, So, but I like to think I worked hard enough and I got my due eventually. So, yeah.
Did you ever think like, okay, I'm done with the business at that point? Like, all right, like that, this isn't for me anymore. Or was the passion gone, or did you still love the business at that point?
Well, I still love the business now. And the way I'm talking, you probably don't think I love the business. Excuse me. I love the business. My body gave out on me, man. That's why I wonder about today's people. How many times can you do a triple planche out? And everybody lines up for you to do the planche outside and all that kind of crap,
Yep.
And, and they do finishes in the first 5 minutes that should be the finish,
Yes.
So, and
Yep.
we'll win by a small package, which sometimes that's the best way, but, it wasn't my passion that gave out on me. It was my body gave out on me. I still want to work out to this day, but I can't. I'm trying to get my knees and back right. Trying to get this old body to give me a couple more years, So, but I got to take my kids, down to Disney and Universal. They got to go backstage and go into the park, see the park, go head of the lines, be in the Residence Inn at Lake Buena Vista. It was pretty much an apartment, and spend 6 weeks down there, And so my kids got to do a lot of great stuff. My wife and all that. I'm very fortunate. We're coming up on 43 years, believe it or not.
Wow,
So,
nice. Oh my God, nice.
She deserves a medal, right?
Yeah, jeez,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. So as we head towards the wind down, head towards the finish here, I know you've wrestled literally everybody: Flair, Sting, the Road Warriors, the Steiners, the Nasty Boys. I mean, the list goes on. Who's like Harlem Heat? Who are some of the favorite guys that you worked with?
Harlem Heat trained at the power plant. They were trained a little bit in Houston, but they sent them down to the power plant, when they got here. I got them their rooms, it was like they had a, refrigerator that could heat up something, microwave, whatever. So they didn't spend all their money out eating, but, I took each challenge as it come, and, thank God the Road Warriors liked me and all the top guys liked me because they knew what I've done and earned their respect, and stuff. So, I had great matches with everybody and they didn't kill me. So I'm still here,
Yes.
I've taken that down Frankensteiner so many times, but I had great timing with Scotty,
Yep.
and sometimes I took it when I wasn't even supposed to take it. He asked me as a favor because he didn't want to get dropped on his head. Now, a lot of them things happen that way, where they didn't trust the guy that was there, Joe Blow from Alabama, they didn't trust him, to catch him because you got to catch him. You got to catch him in the air. And, I was just blessed to work out a great position and earn my spot in that position and make it work for me and my family. Do I wish it went over? Maybe yes. Sonny Ono called me about AEW. I was in the hospital then, believe it or not. I had low blood pressure. Can you believe that? But
wow.
Not high blood pressure, low blood pressure.
Yeah, weird. Wow.
Yeah. And I would like to have been involved. I could have been a manager or something, but it didn't. It wasn't in the cards, man. It just wasn't in the cards, and I accept that, But I still kept on wrestling, I kept doing things to it that my body just said you can't do it no more. So.
Yep. So what's next for you? Anything next wrestling related wise?
Well, I got a couple conventions coming up. I could do probably 5 podcasts a week if I wanted to.
Right.
I just want to do the good ones, and I do whatever I can to help anybody. I mean, but you know, I'm fortunate to be here at home with my kids and my wife and all that stuff, and can't believe everything you read off the internet. I wish people learn that. I read a thing the other day. It says I was married with 3 different women with 3 different kids. Lordy, that ain't the truth. But anyway, it's okay. But
Crazy.
yeah, me and my wife got to go on the trips together. I took her on, family stuff, and Jamaica and down in St. Thomas and what, baby? Yes, baby. That was my grandson. I got a 6-year-old grandson. My 3 boys still live with me, and my grandson lives with me.
Awesome. Love that.
Wouldn't have it any other way. We're grilling out right now. And Adam's out there cutting the grass. He bought a new lawnmower, so he's all excited about that. But anyway, all 3 of my kids are working, and everybody's doing everything they could do to just keep on going.
Where could everybody find and follow you if you're on social media?
Well, I'm sure Stephen don't miss a thing. He's my autistic son and got a speech delay, So I think speech delay hurt him worse than anything because he get frustrated when he's trying to say something and then just, whatever.
Yeah.
So he tune you out,
Yep.
but that's been a fight too. They always told me I made too much money. I'm like, okay, if that's what you think, but that ain't the truth. You don't see how much money we spend on the road, And
Yep.
when I made a TBS employee, of course they paid for my hotel, my rent a car, all that, And a lot of times I was taking people out of the power plant and let them sleep and get 2 beds and a couple throw sleeping bags on the floor, so everybody can make their deal without spending a terrible amount of money. So
yep. So is there anywhere anybody can follow you, like on social media? Or do you do like Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I really don't know how to research myself. I do, but I can't do it right now. But if anybody's wanting bookings to help their territory going forward, want some extra training for their guys and stuff, I know how guys, Elliot Skipper and Alan Flunk and them guys will come in and do the physical part and let me teach. These guys, some stuff to do. They can find me at Sarge, SARGE, 7381 @gmail.com.
All right. Awesome stuff. Sgt Buddy Lee Parker, Dewayne Bruce. Thank you so much for all the time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.